Hi everybody, it's Richard Seaton here, and I'm lucky enough to have Aleksi Haapajoki with us, who's going to tell us and discuss with us all about growth hacking from Finland. I don't know anything about growth hacking, but I hope by the end of this we'll all be much wiser. So what are you going to tell us?
Yeah, hey everyone. So my name is Aleksi Haapajoki, and today we're going to be talking about growth hacking. And I want to tell you a little bit about my background and my story about growth hacking. So I've been doing quite a lot of things in my life. So actually I played poker semi-professionally during my student years. And after that, after poker is kind of difficult to play full time. So I wanted to transition out of that, and I started to work in startups. So I've been a marketing director in a few startups and an advisor in a few, and then I've been in different kind of projects also in addition to that. And the reason that I started to look into growth hacking is that back at the end of 2014, I was in a company that I really liked working there, but they ran out of funds, and we basically failed. And that's the story of a lot of startups. So I really wanted to understand what it is that makes a company successful, and how can you grow in a way that good idea becomes into an actual big company like an Uber or a Google or something like that.
What sort of product was that you were doing before you?
So it was a ring. I think I have it here. I gotta check. Yeah, so it was this kind of ring that you put on your finger, and it starts measuring things about you. So it measures your mood level. So one of the things it's useful for is if you're into meditation, then it can tell you how well you've been into meditation. So you'll take a 10-minute session and it will give you a score, and then over time you can improve that.
So biofeedback.
So that's one of the uses. Yeah. Wow,
that sounds interesting. I want one.
Yeah, I think they're on sale now, but there's a lot of problems with hardware, especially because you need a lot of capital, and just to start manufacturing them is hundreds of thousands of pounds or euros.
Sorry, I'd interrupted there. Continue.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, that's actually why in 2015 I've been working on some of my own projects, but also going into understanding what I was missing. Why I wasn't failing in my marketing, but how can I make it better? Because you can always make it better, and then you can try and take that fail into a success.
Every failure is a learning opportunity.
Yeah. And especially going really deep into learning. If you learn about, like I've been had the opportunity to be coached and to listen to some of the top people who have built $1 million businesses, and then you hear something and then you're like, oh yeah, that's one of the reasons that this didn't succeed as much as it should have, or it failed. So really putting that learning high gear can really take it to the next level where you can understand your past failures much better.
There's nothing better than having some sort of a mentor who's already succeeded. Saves you a lot of time and money and wasted effort. I have a mentor myself, so I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's my growth hacking story in a nutshell. And really one of the big things that I got from last year is that I got to meet a lot of these successful people and really dive into what are the kind of tactics, the tricks, and then the kind of broader strategies that actually make their businesses successful.
And you're going to share some of those with us, are you?
Yes.
I'll get my pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got my Blab shirt on today.
Oh yeah, very nice. I didn't know
Yeah.
there was such a thing. I want one as well.
Yeah, I remember there was a Blab going on with Brittany from Blab, and she was giving out some of the merchandise. I guess they have new shirts now, so the design is a little bit different. But yeah, I like this.
I invited Brittany to come onto one of these, but they've been changing a lot of their strategies and the beta testing. So I think they've got new stuff coming, and then we'll try again. Should be good.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the things we can jump into is the mindset behind growth hacking and what is growth hacking, because I think some people might be a little bit confused as to what actually is growth hacking. And so if you think about growth hacking, and I guess a lot of people know what hacking is. So computer hacking, people hack into your system. I guess just about everybody knows what that is. But then growth hacking, how does it relate? So the kind of the origins of hacking is more about like taking hardware and software and making something new of it. So for example, I have my camera here, and I have a hacked firmware on this so that I can actually get a better quality of video when I'm taking video with it. So that's one of the kind of more, I would say, back to the roots of the word hacking. So computer hacking, of course, is more of a malicious intent, but
yeah, it's got a bad reputation. But actually, as you say, it's just tweaking, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically getting things done in a new way. So growth hacking, you could think about, it's kind of the thinking about the shortest way to go from A to B.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of growth hacking in a nutshell, at least my definition. There's a lot of different definitions about being a programmer and marketer at the same time, but I think that's kind of the simple definition that I put to it.
So how are you applying that at the moment in your business?
So there's a lot of different ways that you can apply that, but I think the mindset is the most important thing. So the basic thing that I think about the mindset is leverage, and leverage is probably the most important thing for any small business. So one of the things that I did when I graduated is my master's thesis, and I did it on app marketing, and actually that ended up winning an award. And one of my main findings was that, if you're making an app, you need to make it viral from the beginning. So you need to think about the structure of your app so that it's viral, so that when you spend money on your marketing, and I think every business should spend money on marketing, that you can leverage that, so that when you spend $1, you get a lot more users out of that $1 than you would otherwise.
That's very interesting, because a good friend of mine he created an app to do with music to go out on a phone a couple of years ago. He did no research, no marketing at all. He assumed once he had this beautiful app running, everybody would jump in and buy it. Of course, it collapsed and failed because there was no marketing beforehand. He didn't research the market. So I'm sure you'd be hot on that too, yeah?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that if you're getting into apps, you have to understand is that your user is going to cost you on average about $2. So you have to either figure out a way to make more money than $2, or then you have to figure out a way to make your users come in for cheaper. And then, of course, people always say, oh, but I'm just doing free marketing like blogs and things like that. But they do cost money, because your time is money. You could be doing something else for £20 an hour, 20 euros an hour, or whatever your rate is. So you have to think about, even the free marketing does cost something. It costs your time.
Our two resources.
Yeah. So then kind of everything that I think about in terms of growth hacking is that it needs to leverage. So one good example is what I did on Twitter last year. So I grew my Twitter followers from almost 0 to, well, they're almost 11,000 now. And the main way, of course, is following people. But when you're following a lot of people, and a lot of people are following you, and then posting things, and then all of these things start to add up. So you post things, you get more followers. You follow people, you get more followers, and then they all start kind of adding on to each other. And that's kind of the basic idea of leverage. And then also on Blab, I do have quite a lot of followers on Blab that came from Twitter. So that's also one way to say
one thing there. Twitter is something I've been focusing on, and I've gone from 0 to about 500 in the last few months just by doing exactly what you said. But the one problem I'm having, which you may be able to comment on, is engagement with those followers. And how do you overcome the inevitable need to spend time engaging and building that way?
Yeah, engagement on Twitter is actually quite difficult, which is why I've been putting less and less time into it. There's from what I see, there's only like a handful of people that actually have really good engagement on Twitter, and that's one of the problems of the platform actually, and why it's kind of on its way down. But then again, you have things like Periscope that now they're making it so that you can have the live feed kind of inside Twitter, or you can start it inside Twitter and people can see it through Twitter. Mm. So that's going to be one thing that will help the engagement, because I think the engagement is not that great. And I was doing videos for Twitter, and well, I think they've put a little bit more effort into getting those seen now, but I don't know. It felt like my time might be spent better elsewhere, but I'm always looking back into it if it's something that I'll pick up again.
Well, just to add to that, I put a lot of energy into Twitter for a couple of months, and I started to get some really good results. People were actually, coming to webinars, and actually we did get some engagement, but it was a lot of work, Alexi. A lot of checking through notifications every 20 minutes and not missing any, and that's time spent that could be used elsewhere, as you say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the things that I've been looking into is Instagram and things like that I'm gonna start working on next, and especially I like things like Blab and Periscope, because it feels a little bit more like today. Twitter feels a little bit more like the 2005, 2008, something like that, because it's just 140 characters and you're kind of limited in your interaction as well.
And of course, you don't have a replay feature for anything you've put on there like we do on this, which is actually the most important part about Blab to me, is the replay YouTube part of it. That's where I get the engagement.
Yeah, definitely. And then the thing I like about Blab is that people can jump on and ask their questions and really interact with other people. Versus on Twitter, I guess it used to be like that in the beginning, but it's kind of gone downhill, where it's just people basically shouting or spamming about their product or their article or whatever. But I think it's still good for if you write articles to get some kind of views. But for actual interaction, I don't see it being that great at the moment.
I use Twitter mainly to get people to look at my blog, to be honest. I put enticing titles on there about a post I've just brought on, and that works.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Definitely.
So what else does growth hacking apply to? I mean, you're starting to make it sound like it actually applies to everything. It's basically how to increase your effectiveness in any area of your marketing is growth hacking.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of a blanket term that has a lot under it, but then there's a lot of things that are specifically talked about only as growth hacking. Things like if you have an e-com store, then increasing the conversions and things like that could be seen as growth hacking by itself. And then, of course, getting more views to your site is probably the most basic type of growth hacking that there is. And
so just to increase your traffic, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course it's good not to forget retention, because a lot of people, they just want the numbers, but then they don't want the engagement or the retention, or they don't concentrate on the engagement or the retention. So I see people, if you go to something like, well, Fiverr is a good example of this. People will give you like 500 likes on your Facebook page, but what does it matter if none of those are engaging with your brand?
Yeah. There's two attitudes to that in marketing, isn't there? One is high numbers, no engagement, and the other end of the extreme is very low numbers, high engagement. Which is better? That's the eternal argument.
Yeah, and of course there's arguments to both sides, but of course high numbers and high engagement is the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody can agree on that.
Yeah. So please continue. I'm enjoying this very much. I've actually got a lot out of this so far, and I'm sure other people who view in will as well. So please continue.
Yeah. So one of the things you talked about is your blog. So one of the things that I've learned from quite a few sources, actually, from some of the very successful people that have set up multi-million-dollar businesses, is that they do one blog post and one video and one maybe slide share and one I don't know what else you do, pictures and quotes and things like that. They do one per week. So they repurpose their content, so they could start with a video, and then from that video they might take out the audio, use that as a podcast, and then transcribe the audio, use that as a blog post, or edit and use it as a blog post. Then you can take some quote out and use that as an image, and then you can make slides of it, use it on SlideShare, and so on and so on and so on. So you can take that one piece of content and you can really put it everywhere.
That's such a nice feeling when you know that you're doing an hour's work and you're getting 10 hours of content out of it. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, this is one that I'm just starting to use, and really like this blab, the ideas that we have on here, I can then go on and I can write a blog about it. I can make a PDF and give that as a lead generating
book.
As a lead generating book, and maybe I could even write an Amazon book on it, a short one. Why not?
Yeah.
And make a video series. And I mean, the possibilities are really kind of endless, what you can do with it.
What would you use your MP3 audios for? Would you send them as front-end products, or would you send them as tutorials, or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the audio. I mean, maybe a long thing like this blab might be a little bit off-putting to a lot of people listening. But maybe if you can kind of take the main points and make kind of shorter video and make an audio from that might be a good kind of front-end product, or a lead generating audio piece where you can tell them that you can find out about maybe the 5 best growth hacks that you've come across, or something like that.
Always looking, see how I can use the content that I'm creating at that time. Yeah, definitely.
And then just I guess you can also use things like this blab to test new things, like, do people want to hear about this subject or this subject, and then just going on from there.
Yeah, I've recently started using a hobby of mine to use it in marketing. I do cartooning for fun. I draw cartoons, and I suddenly thought, if I draw cartoons about marketing, people will love. Then everybody loves cartoons, and if you put a link in the cartoon, and I'm trying that out at the moment. I mean, I've copyrighted it, so don't nick it. But
yeah,
I'm getting some interest, and it's just another idea. You've got to try new ideas, I believe, as well, and don't be scared to fail. If something doesn't work, that's fine. At least you've tested it. I mean, it's a crazy idea. Some people would say, why would you draw cartoons when you're a marketer? Why not?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then even if you like fail with that, you might have an idea later on, and you can then repurpose it. Like I had this idea because I wrote this blog post, and then I was reading this blog post about how to write better, and then I realized, okay, that wasn't written that well from the point of view that it should always be think about the end user, like what are they getting out of it. So it was more about talking about like my experiences. So maybe I can also make a blog post targeting the end user and saying this is what you can get out of it. So I can even rewrite my own article and just post it on another site.
Yeah, I mean it's endless, isn't it? The possible directions you can take things. That's why I love marketing. To me, and I have a feeling this might apply to you as well, Alexi, the real buzz I get from marketing is learning new stuff and suddenly getting a moment where I realize that this is going to work, or that to me is almost as important as the income, almost. And it's an exciting moment, and when somebody else takes you up one of your ideas and gets a similar jingle of recognition and sees how they can use your idea, then that is also that is a great feedback. People's reactions.
I definitely enjoy that as well. But then again, like one of my weaknesses is that I always need to remember that I need to put it to use. If you get the reward just from the idea, then it can just be that, okay, I got the reward and no action.
That is amazing what you just said. I did a little blog post once recently on finding your passion, and it was about free content marketing. And the idea was I'm very good at the free content to the point where I forget to do the marketing. I'm putting out all this content. People are loving it. They're enjoying it. But hey, hang on a minute. I'm not getting any opt-ins, and I'm not getting any, monetization out of it. I need to get the balance back. It's great to be giving out the free content, but you've got to market it. So free content plus marketing. That's the lesson I've learned recently.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So we could go on to the next growth hack then.
Please.
So I think we'll go to, well, you mentioned email marketing, so let's jump into email marketing.
Sure thing.
So what have your experiences been with email marketing?
I've tried many routes to get. I had a list of a very small list of about 1,500 people recently, and I decided to challenge them and see how many of them actually were engaging with my emails. So I sent them an ultimatum. I now have 300 on that list. I lost 1,200 users who said, no, I don't want any, and I think that's okay. 300 engaged users is much better than 1,500, 3/4 of whom aren't interested. So that was very important, to trim your list down to real people. And then the next thing was to experimenting with titles. Absolutely vital to get a good title into your emails. I know you know all this, but I'm saying it for the benefit of people who don't, really, that the titling, the first thing you see in your inbox is 20 emails. Which one do you open? You open the one that intrigues you. And, that's my experience, is that, engaging and also inviting people, or questioning people, asking them what they want, vital in emails to get people to come back to you. Just bunging out endless content, people don't want it. They want to feel that it's personal, so personalizing.
So how often, Richard, do you send out emails?
Well, that's very interesting. I actually send probably one a day to my list. Other people say that's far too much. But I base it on how I respond to emails. If I see a guy emailing me 3 or 4 times in a week, eventually I'll open one of them to see what he wants. This guy's definitely here for the long term. He's got a message. He thinks that I want to read it. Let's have a look and see what he's saying. So at some point you do make a commitment and read. Other people say you can bombard your list and all you'll do is drive them away if you send them too many. So again, it's like the other question. It's probably different people use different methods and get good results. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the things that I thought that we might have been doing wrong in some of the companies that the norm is to send a monthly email newsletter. And the thing is that like the more emails you send, of course, the more response you get and the more people clicking on things. But also that if you do it correctly, you can build relationships.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you think about someone like a person in your family, and well, you might talk with them once a day or many times a day, but if they the first time they would send like an email to you and the next time they would send it in 1 month, how does that build a relationship?
I agree.
If you meet someone new online and they send you one email and the next one they send you in 1 month, it's going to take a long time to build that relationship, and it might never even form.
I agree. People's memories are very short.
Yeah, definitely. So what about, do you use autoresponders?
Yes, I do, but I'm never very happy with them for the simple reason, if you set up a month of response emails, after a week you may want to change all those, because the way you're getting a response, if you're really monitoring and listening to your list, you can't predict a 6-month autoresponder sequence. You can't do it because people change, people are real. And one thing I did learn, Alexi, and again, I know you'll agree with this, is that a list is made up of individual people. Each of them have depression, they have excitement, they're happy, they're sad. They're real people. And sometimes that gets forgotten in business, that they're just numbers. They're not just numbers. These are all people with, families and trying to make a living. So I think regular engagements are important.
Yeah, so that is very true, that they're individual people. And the thing that I like about autoresponders, or I started to like about them, is that you can start to build. It's kind of like you can build some of the relationship through the autoresponder. So you can, in a way, mass mail some of the things, but of course some of the things should be personal. Like they should come to your blab. You can't really do an autoresponder that is equal to someone coming to your blab or someone coming to read your blog post.
Yeah,
or actually meeting you.
absolutely. Frank Kern said the other day, there's 3 aspects. There's marketing, traffic, and sales. And in the end, the first 2 are merely the means of achieving the third. Don't forget that in the end, you're in business to make money. And that isn't because you're a mean, horrible, money-driven person. It's because your time is precious. And that's where you're trying to get to, is to use your time to make your living. And marketing. People spend too much time on technology, he said. They spend 70% of their focus on the technology, when actually that's not going to make you any money. He said, in the end, it's about sales, which is one-to-one. There's no other way to do it. You engage with someone, you provide a solution to a problem they have, and they trust you because it works. And that's how he sees it.
Yeah, exactly. And just adding to that is, in growth hacking, it's very, very important to have systems in place, because a lot of people, they'll just do a trick. They'll take a trick or a tip from here and here and here, and never comes to a actual system. So that's one of the things where autoresponders can help you, is that you can have kind of a system where people can start to know and like you, by where you can give them different kind of content and different things and different tips and tricks, and where they start to actually like you and connect with you, and then go on from there. You can ask them to a webinar and then sell, or however you'd like to follow up with that. But having the system is probably the most important thing.
There's nothing greater in engagement than somebody using something you've shown them and getting a success from it. You will soon become very well known as a good marketer and teacher if you can get someone to get a success from one of your suggestions, even a free suggestion. That's really what it is, isn't it? People personalizing something. That guy told me to do this, it worked, I can't believe it, I'm actually earning, or I'm actually getting more traffic to my blog site just because of what that person told me to do. You know, it's become real for that person.
Yeah, definitely. And especially in email marketing, there's been a couple of I would say wrongful thoughts. So one of them is that when you get someone on your list, that you should bombard them with buy my product. And then some people will buy, and those are the buyers, and then some people won't buy, and those are the non-buyers. And then you just concentrate more on the buyers. But in the end, if you do a relationship building really well, most of the people are buyers. Who doesn't buy online?
Absolutely, and the best customers will take more time to consider you before they buy, whereas the people moving through will buy your product and then never use it and disappear.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually one thing that autoresponders can help you with, is that actually if you have an online course, I think it was quite low. It might be like 20-30% actually go through the whole course. And those might even be high numbers. It might be even lower. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's very worrying. Like, you could set up an autoresponder that when people buy a course, then you send them an email like every day to remind them to go through your course actually. And that's another part where I think email autoresponders are really valuable.
Yeah. I'm sure you agree also that it's very important to ask people to get back to you and say what they think. Ask for their response. You know, treat them with dignity and respect. You know, you've taken the trouble to buy this course from me. I would be very, very interested to know if I can improve it in any way. Is there anything that you feel is missing from it? Is there something that you would like to see there? You know, ask for their opinion. And I think autoresponders are great for that, because you can schedule all that in.
Yeah, definitely. Just asking questions after the course, and even when they come on your email list, a lot of the most successful email marketers, one of the first things that they ask is they have a question like, you decided to get my PDF. What kind of business are you in, or why, or what do you want to achieve? Could be one of the first questions that when you come on their list.
Well, I do a free traffic video course in 4 parts, and my first email question is, has this course helping you? Has this course helped you? Is this course helping you? You know, where do you want to go next? Always questions. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds very good.
Oh, well, you're welcome to try it.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. But
sure, yeah.
It's so nice to be talking to you, because I feel that you're actually helping me realize that actually I'm probably doing a few things right. It's nice to get a bit of approval sometimes, although from another market.
Yeah, that's always good to know that you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple more growth hacks that we'll go through here. So have you done a giveaway or a competition, Richard?
I haven't actually yet. No. Tell me. I've given a free front end product, as I call it. We call it an irresistible hook.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 2-day course in something I've got at the moment. Yeah, so I do. But I'm actually changing my attitude towards that. I'm beginning to think that the free front end product doesn't actually. I'm trying to charge from the beginning. I've got a funnel up on my whiteboard here, which I'm just preparing. And the first product is $10.95. There is no free front product. I'm saying, you know, what I'm giving you, what I'm showing you is worth paying for, you know, and then I think the people who commit and find it valuable will be happy to carry on paying for the rest of the courses. That's just an experiment, something I'm trying really. Is free content a great idea? I'd be interested to hear what you think.
So it is and it isn't. So there's of course 2 ways to look at it. I think usually free content is a good idea because you get a lot of people into your funnel, but then you have to think, are those the right people? Are they? Is your your gift in line with what they want to achieve.
Congruent.
Yeah, that's very important. And when we're talking about, like, now start to talk about the competitions, that's a very similar thing, where if you look at the average competition that I see, at least, is they're giving away an iPad. That's very kind of the general thing that people are giving away if they have a competition. And if you want people that like iPads, then that's what you should give away, right? But if you want somebody that, if you're a roofing company, you should give something else, of course.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a big intersection between roofing and iPad users or iPad lovers.
We have a saying in this group that you work your funnel, you design your funnel from the high cost back end product to right through to the front. You don't start at the front with the free product. You start with where you want them to go and then run back, and everything is in keeping with the thing before it. So what your free product is an introductory offer to the front, to the end product, and everything has a theme all the way through it. So you're targeting all the time.
Yeah, that sounds like very sound advice.
Reverse engineering. Yeah.
So if you were to do a competition, what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, I do tutorial educational videos. So I would be saying something like, are you trying to produce a video product online? Here's some tips and ideas that might get you started. I can show you how to do it with free software without having to spend lots of money on expensive software to start with until you get the hang of things. That would be a simple course, If we're talking about tutorials in marketing, then video is a very important part of marketing. And so you need to understand that right from the start. And here's some free ways of putting a good video together. Just an idea.
Yeah. So if you were thinking of that in terms of competition, would that be like a competition for, or it could even be a challenge where people make their first video, for example, or something like that?
Yeah, breaking out of the comfort zone and actually sitting in front of a camera. For this, I will let you into my affiliate club for the first 6 months free, as the prize. That's an idea.
Yeah, then if you think of in terms of competition, you could be giving away something like if you have a free course and people go through it, then they might be in a drawing to get your full course or then your high-end products. So that's one way. And the thing about competitions is that because they're usually shorter term, is that a lot of people share them and there's a lot of hype around it. But then again, you have to be quite careful that it's in line with actually what you're doing and what the people that you want.
Well, strange enough, I've tried one competition. I didn't tell you. I did a cartoon of lots of people on laptop computers sitting around a swimming pool, looking very stressed. And we had to design a caption. And the prize for getting the best caption was a 1 month free invitation at $47 into the affiliate club, which is really a really great idea for getting people to try the affiliate club. And that worked. I got quite a lot of response to that. It was just a simple cartoon with a caption competition.
Yeah, definitely. That's the kind of thing that people share, and that's why it has so much power to it.
So, have you experimented with quizzes and competitions yourself?
So I haven't done much under my personal brand, but for the companies that I've worked for example, well, this is quite a few years ago, but for one company we did a giveaway of games, and we would actually ask people to do certain tasks, and then we would draw games between the people that did those tasks. The problem was, and actually what I learned from it, is that since the site that we were getting people on wasn't only a games related site, that might have been kind of the wrong prices for the people, and we didn't get the exact kind of users that we wanted. And also giving out the prices, it can, if you think about the motivation that people have, an external motivation, like you get a game. And if you have that for the actual action that I'm going to post something on a forum, for example, and once you take that external thing out, people usually don't continue posting.
Yeah. I mean, if you're giving an iPad away, once they've achieved that, there's no more incentive. Whereas if you're on a course, then the goal is to become better in business and to work with you. And then there's a long-term scenario. Yeah.
And of course, there are quite a lot of like smaller challenges that you always put out. So sometimes you might tell someone to do this or that, but having maybe a bigger challenge, like where for example, for 7 days you get together and you start experimenting with video, for example, could be a good challenge. So that's something that actually gets people involved and more engaged. So I think that kind of competition is good. And then you might have some kind of prizes, but those are kind of just extra. They aren't the main point of that competition.
I've learned something today, Alexi, which is that weather can govern engagement. It's sunny outside and there are not many people coming through. I think that speaks for volumes. Don't hold webinars on sunny days.
Yeah, I guess that's quite normal that people want to be outside instead of. But then again, if it starts raining during the week, then they might want to see the replay.
That's also true. We'll see. So, and in addition to competitions, have you any other growth hacking systems you wanted to discuss? Because I think we've been on for, I don't know how long we've been on actually. I can't find the clock.
Yeah, about an hour. Oh, no, well, not an hour, 45 minutes probably.
Almost. Yes, 45 minutes. I will edit this bit out, but you're very welcome to continue as long as you want, obviously, and we can edit it down.
Yeah. So the last point that I wanted to talk about was using long tail keyword to get more traffic.
Oh yes. I know nothing about this, so this is fascinating. So
in terms of search engine optimization, what kind of keywords are you going after, Richard?
I haven't really done enough work on SEO at all. I use things like the age group, working from home, very, very simple keywords, nothing marketing, in this case, growth hacking. I haven't really studied this subject.
Yeah,
I know I need to, especially on things like YouTube, where keywords are vital, but I don't fully understand it. It's the next challenge. So I'm listening.
Yeah, so there are two types of keywords. So one is a general one, like people could be searching for, let's say they're searching for computer games. That's a very general one. And then you go down to more specific ones like adventure computer games. And then you could have a very specific, like an adventure game with a female hero. That would be quite specific. And the thing is that the more specific the keyword gets, the more kind of buying intention or intention to do something they usually have. So I used to run a affiliate site for a poker site. So I only used one keyword, and the keyword was very specific. It was the deal that I was giving to the poker site, and that didn't even have that many searches. It maybe had, when I started it in Google, it showed like it couldn't tell you how many searches, so it was really, really low. And at the best, it maybe only had 20 searches, 40 searches per month. But given that if you're the first link on Google, all of those are coming through. And then if the people know what they're going after, so if they have a keyword, like you would say, like if you're thinking about gardening, and then you have a keyword like cheap gardening company London. So that's a very specific one where they're going after a specific thing. Then you can use that to convert really well. So actually that site, it ran pretty much on autopilot, and it started making some good money before things got pretty funny, and the site that I was an affiliate for had to shut down.
And I'm sure we can discuss that in private. It sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was just going to ask about the keywords, because you said that you use a general and more specific keywords to target traffic. So are these words that people will type into Google simply? That is what a keyword is. It's a search word, is it? It's a word that Google picks up on when people search, and they put them in. Is that how it works?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a search word. So it could be in Google, in YouTube, even on Twitter, people look for specific things. And you have to consider that YouTube is, I think it's the second biggest search engine, and Amazon is a big one as well. So when people are searching for specific things, that's where you want to be found. And the great thing is about Google and YouTube and even Amazon, where you can go after many like very specific ones. So one might not bring you a lot of traffic, but if you have like 30 different ones, that's already bringing you quite a lot of traffic.
That would be another question I was about to ask you. Do the number of keywords you put in make any, I mean, they say a limit between 3 and 5. Is that real? Is that true? Or can you put as many as you like?
Do you mean into Google or into your pages?
If you're tagging, say, a blog post, and you want to attract a particular number of people from different areas, how many, ideally, keywords would you use to tag that post? Does it matter?
So I mean, there's a couple of ways that you can do this. So you can add more keywords to your blog post, but then your blog post isn't specific, but then you can rewrite your blog post so that you could have, for example, you have internet marketing, if that's your subject. Then you can have internet marketing for small, well, I would say, not small business is still quite general, but if you go like internet marketing for barbers, internet marketing for shops that are antique shops, for example. So you could have different blog posts, and they don't have to differ that much. You can just do some kind of little changes here and there. And I think you can find more about that on Google, like how much you have to change in order for it not to be considered as duplicate content.
We use, I know a few hacks which you can use on Mozilla Firefox, which are things like in URL in the address bar, and then you can specify particular forums and people who've engaged, or people who are online, or people who have over a certain number of hits, and all these turn up in Alexi to show how popular these sites are, and you only search the sites that are a certain size in the Alexi search bar. Do you use those hacks yourself? I mean, we don't need to discuss them too freely. They're very good, though. In URL is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some extensions on my Chrome so that I can see what kind of traffic each page is getting, and then you can have things like SEO Moz is one that you can get a plugin for. So you can see a lot of different things about the site. You can see the demographics, and a lot of these things you can then use to come up with the things for your own site as well.
Yeah,
and you can see all the keywords and all that good stuff. So
we were using it for blog hopping particularly, or blog commenting. We were looking for blogs which had a certain amount of viewers and a certain amount of comments, and you can put all that into the address bar and siphon and filter right through to the, and it's amazing, you know, what you can do with those hacks. Very amazing, actually.
All right, I have to write that down.
Well, I'll send you some info on that. I'll send you an example, and anybody else who would like to watch this replay and would like that example, please email me and I'll send it to you. It's just a way of being very specific in who you're searching for on the internet. Sorry, Alexi, I just put that in. So,
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different search hacks that you can use. Use things like, well, one more growth hack is that you can, one of the things that you can do if you have a competitor and they have a website, you can try and find kind of the prominent image, and you can, at least on Google Chrome, you can right click and then you can search for that image, and then you can usually see everywhere that it appears.
yeah.
So let's say somebody has their website, and then you go to the press section. So it could be a competitor, and you go to the press section and you go through all the images, and you can see like everywhere that they have been featured. And that's really useful, because then you can see which journalists have written about them.
Yeah.
And then you can, if you have many different competitors, you can make a list of it, and then you can start contacting the people that are actually writing about what you're doing. So you can already send them an email that says, oh, I noticed that you made a article about this and this company. We're doing something similar. Would you mind having a chat?
Amazing. I learned a little trick that you can actually use images. For example, the title you use to save your image, if you make your own images, the title you use is a searchable set of keywords. Particularly in things like eBay and Amazon, if you're trying to sell something, if you make a really great image title, that gets searched because Google looks at the text, not at the picture. That was a useful trick.
Yeah, definitely. The same thing is with YouTube, that if you change the title of the video that you're uploading, that can also get indexed.
Yeah,
plus now, plus now on YouTube, they can actually do voice recognition, so that can also factor into getting indexed.
Can you explain that? That's interesting.
So yeah, they have a way, have you used the captions on YouTube? So you can turn on the automatic captions.
I've looked at it. I haven't actually put it into my videos yet.
Yeah, so you can turn on the automatic captions. I think it's on a lot of different videos, so they can automatically pick up what people are saying on the video, and based on that, they can show you what's going on in subtitle format. And they also are starting to use that more and more in the indexing. So they want to see that the video that you put up that says that it's about growth hacking, for example, that you're actually talking about growth hacking and you're not talking about gardening or something else.
YouTube is the biggest free market out there if you learn to use it. That's why I'm focusing on it. Thank you for that. Yeah. I'll try it with this one. See how it works. I shall do that.
Yeah, sure. So I guess that's all the 5 growth hacks plus a couple extra there.
So can you just read your list for as a sort of synopsis of the 5 that you spoke about?
All right. So first we talked about the Twitter growth strategy. So following back, and then we can add to that we can have a program like Crowdfire or something like that, a web software that we can unfollow people as well that don't follow us back, and then we post things and use things like Periscope to get more engagement. Then second, we looked at repurposing content. So for example, you could take this blab, the video, break it down to audio, use that as a podcast, and then take the audio, transcribe it, edit it a little bit, put it on a blog. Then you could make slides out of the content, and then you could take images and put a quote from that content on it, and then do a lot of other things with it. Then we looked at email marketing and setting up sequences. So what a lot of small companies do is that they have a monthly newsletter which doesn't build the relationship. So you should email more often. So maybe once a day, 2 times a day, at least once a week, to start building that relationship. And in the beginning, maybe even more, start building with an autoresponder, get the people to get to know your name, to be involved in your email. email marketing. And then lastly, we actually talked about the giveaway and competitions. So using what you would say is shorter things that have a finite time, so you could have a competition with a prize, but the best ones are probably the kind of things that challenge people. So it could be a 7-day challenge to do video, for example. And then lastly, we talked about the long tail keywords. So instead of using and going after general keywords, like for example, gardening, you could go after a keyword like gardening shop London, which already has more buyer intent, and you could also go after multiple keywords. So I would go after like 10, 20 of those longer tail keywords in order to get some traffic, but just start with one and then add on. And then from those small streams, you get a big river. So that's the small summary of those 5 growth hacks.
This has been absolutely brilliant, Alexi. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know a lot of my followers will. And I'll send you. Do you want the raw version of this? I'll stop recording now and say thank you very much for coming on and spending so much of your time, far more than you probably expected. I am very interactive. I do like to ask questions, and I think it's more fun that way. I hope it was okay, rather than just a lecture from one person. So thank you, Alexi. And
yes, thank you, Richard.
Do you have any links that you'd like to mention at this point? Because I think as a way of thanking you, you're quite welcome to let us know what you're doing more specifically, maybe in the chat.
So right now, if you want to know more, or if you want to get a PDF version of these, then you should email me at al@haapajoki.com. So it's Al, short for my first name, at my last name.com.
alhabajoki.com. There you go. And it's actually available. It's visible on the picture as well, just above Alexi's face there, how he spells his name, because we're not over in Britain too good at Finnish names, but we're getting better. So thank you very much, Alexi, and we'll put this up as soon as possible. Take care, my friend. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.